On the day when my amniotic fluid ruptured prematurely, my husband was celebrating his first love's birthday, while I died on the street waiting for rescue. When I opened my eyes again, I astonishingly found myself back in high school. The fresh-faced and sunny boy in the back seat, his face blushing, asked me if I would be his girlfriend. No, don't ever let me hear such a revolting thing again. The students in number 2 middle school were all gossiping that Lin Yan, Jiang He's admirer, had a change of heart. She didn't even bring Jiang He milk during morning reading. She didn't bring drinks and towels when he was playing basketball, didn't go to the library to reserve a seat in advance, and even didn't chatter around Jiang He during breaks. She had been chasing him for almost a year, just giving up like this. Maybe she's just throwing a tantrum and waiting for Jiang He to coax her. I think she's fallen for someone else. I heard that the heartthrob from number 3 middle school is also chasing her. With a snap, Jiang He, in a fit of annoyance, slammed his English book onto the desk. It's morning, reading time now. If you want to chat about gossip, go outside. Just as he finished speaking, I happened to walk to the door. The class fell silent immediately, and dozens of pairs of eyes stared straight at me. Paying no heed, I walked to my seat, pulled out the chair and sat down. When I opened my school bag, there were 2 glass bottled milks inside. Presumably the aunt at home, out of habit, heated 2 glasses of milk, and forgot that I had said only 1 glass was needed from now on. Zhang Xiaoyang, Jiang He's deskmate, poked his arm and whispered, Lin Yan is about to make up with you. I told you she couldn't hold out for long. Jiang He's eyes flickered slightly. Right in his line of sight, I gave the milk to my deskmate. Here, have it. Song Ming was stunned and asked uncertainly, for me? I nodded, and then opened my Chinese textbook to start silent reading. Song Ming leaned over curiously and said, Yin Yan, why are you starting to study now? Without raising my head, I said, I want to be transferred to class next semester. I was admitted to number 2 middle school with the second highest score in the city's high school entrance examination. However, in order to be in the same class as Jiang He, I deliberately left a lot of questions unanswered in the first monthly exam. As I wished, I was transferred from Class A to Class F. But now, I no longer have a reason to stay in this class. Whenever I think of the boy behind me, who became my husband 9 years later, yet lingered in his first love's tender embrace, when I was struggling to conceive our new life, causing the child with his blood to die with me in the cold night, without even seeing the world. I simply can't forgive him, so I'll sever this ill-fated relationship in advance. At noon, Song Ming and I went to the cafeteria to get food. The chef in the cafeteria served me the spare ribs I liked. After the meal, he smiled and asked, What food are you going to get for Jiang He today? There's the squirrel-shaped fish he likes. I was taken aback. Speaking of my high school days, my pursuit of Jiang He was really passionate and bold. I stuffed his desk with love letters I wrote to him. On the school's flag, flying podium, despite the principal's warning, I used a loudspeaker to confess my love to him. So much so that even the cafeteria chef knew the food he liked. Everyone knew that I was crazy about Jiang He, to the extent of being stubbornly persistent. Looking back now, it all seems like a joke. I shook my head and said, I'm not getting food for him. Pausing for a moment, I added, I won't do it from now on. The chef, who was about to make the squirrel-shaped fish, froze. I grabbed Song Ming and turned to leave. Unexpectedly, I met Jiang He at the end of the queue. Our eyes met. He looked startled. I averted my gaze first and walked away without looking back. Song Ming whispered, Lin Yan, what on earth has happened to you? Why have you suddenly stopped talking to Jiang He? I sat at the table, mixing the white rice with the spare rib soup. Nothing. I just think the past was rather dull. After no longer centering my life around Jiang He, I realized how much free time I had. I could chat with the girls about entertainment gossip, share my favorite strawberry milkshakes and donuts, wrestle with the boys, fold paper airplanes and see who could throw them farther. I took out the test papers and workbooks that I had left in the desk, and finished them little by little. During breaks, I took care of the school's stray cats, and even built a nest for it with used cardboard. A high school life without worry and anxiety was actually so youthful and wonderful. After several days like this, our school's basketball game arrived. The head teacher asked us all to go to the playground to cheer for our classmates. I remember in my previous life, I even organized a cheerleading team, and learned a difficult dance just to cheer for Jiang He's team. But due to a teammate's careless lift, I was heavily thrown to the ground, resulting in multiple abrasions on my body. In the end, Jiang He's basketball team won the game with a high score. Amidst the cheers and applause, his eyes were filled with his teammates and honor, but without me. So this time, on the pretext of not feeling well, I asked the teacher for leave and stayed alone in the classroom to recite English words. I don't think I'll ever do such a ridiculous and foolish thing again in my life. Song Ning came running back halfway through. She told me, Jiang he played terribly today. His eyes kept glancing at the audience, as if he was looking for someone. After he finished speaking, he looked at me again. Yin Yin, could he be looking for you? No. I calmly denied it after finishing writing a line of English words. At this time, Jiang he seemed to have hate Lin Yan written all over his face. He would be happy if I didn't go. Song Ning babbled on about something related to the basketball court. I really wasn't in the mood to listen now, yet I couldn't bear to interrupt him. So I made an excuse to go out and get hot water. Who knew that as soon as I walked out of the classroom door, I saw several people walking quickly. Just as I was about to step aside to make way, Zhang Xiaoyang, who was supporting Jiang he on one side, shouted at me, Lin Yan, don't you have a pain-relieving and anti-inflammatory spray? Hurry up and bring it for Jiang he to use. He's injured. Indeed, because Jiang he liked playing basketball, I had prepared a small first aid kit with many imported medicines that couldn't be bought on the market, which were very effective for bruises and sprains. But in his previous life, he clearly won the game. How could he be injured in this life? Lin Yan, what are you daydreaming about? Zhang Xiaoyang said anxiously. Only then did I come to my senses. I took a look at Jiang He's swollen ankle and said indifferently, it's expired. I threw it away. After saying this, I carried the water cup and went to the water room to fetch water, not even sparing him a glance. What was I thinking? His injury had nothing to do with me. The pain I endured in my previous life was 1,000 times worse than his. Why should I feel sorry for him? Zhang Xiaoyang behind me gasped. At the same time, a gaze stabbed straight at my back, as if it could pierce a hole through me. Jiang he asked for leave because of his foot injury, and didn't come to school for 2 consecutive days. When my mother heard about this, she asked the aunt to cook bone soup, and insisted that I send it to Jiang he to nourish his body. Just because our 2 families were family friends, and Jiang he was someone she had watched grow up since childhood, she wouldn't feel at ease until I personally visited and comforted him. Although I repeatedly said that I didn't want to go, I couldn't resist my mother's repeated orders. She even told the driver to make sure to send me to Jiang he's doorstep, so that I wouldn't run away halfway. I had no choice but to take the chicken soup to Jiang he's house. It was dusk at this time. The leaves of the sycamore trees on the roadside rustled in the wind. I wrapped my thin coat and got out of the car. What came into view was a white 3-story small building. The remaining afterglow of the setting sung an annoying orange color on it. It was too familiar. When I was a child, I used to run to his house all the time. I had even lived with him in it for nearly 2 years. Every corner here was filled with the figures of him and me. Him, who was depressed because of a broken heart, and me, who comforted him despite the heartache. He said he would be good to me for a lifetime, and never let me down. I who believed it. My heart felt as if it was being torn apart, and my whole body was shaking with pain. It took me a long time to calm down. I opened the thermos bucket in my hand. The fragrant smell of bone soup wafted out. I directly put it on the ground, and fed it to a stray dog. He didn't deserve such a good thing. After the bone soup was eaten up by the stray dog, I was about to leave. Who knew that just as I turned around, someone called my name. The voice was childish and familiar. I didn't even bother to turn around. Jiang he rushed in front of me quickly. His crutches were unsteady, and he almost fell in front of me. A few fine beads of sweat oozed from his fair forehead. He almost growled. Yunyan, what on earth are you up to? Suppressing the soreness in my throat, the young man in front of me was naive and arrogant. Once my favorite look. I curled the corners of my lips and said indifferently, I don't understand what you're talking about. Then I continued to walk forward. He quickly blocked my way again. His chest was heaving violently, and his lips were pale. It could be seen that these few steps were extremely difficult and painful for him. Why have you stopped talking to me? Jiang He's eyes were full of turmoil, as if he really wanted to get some information from my face, but he still couldn't understand. Then he pointed to the lunch box on the ground and said, this bone soup was for me, right? Why did you feed it to the dog? Usually, when I don't let you come to my house to find me, you make a fuss and still come. But today you don't even want to go up. I've been injured for so many days, and you haven't shown any concern. What's wrong with you? I coldly interrupted his words. Anyway, you're annoyed by me. Jiang He was momentarily at a loss for words. It took him a long time to nod. Yes, I don't like you pestering me. I'm happy when you stay far away from me. Then he stared at me and sneered. Lin Yan, you'd better not play any hard to get games. You know I hate this kind of trick. In fact, it wasn't strange that Jiang He thought this way. In my previous life, in order to attract his attention, I really did a lot of childish and ridiculous stupid things. Although I finally managed to make him my husband, I never got his true heart. I even ended up dying a tragic death on the street. So in this life, I won't waste any more time and feelings on him. You overestimate yourself. I don't have the time to play games with you. I twitched the corners of my lips, and my voice was devoid of emotion. My mother insisted that the driver take me to bring you the bone soup. You know my mother's temper. Just assume you've drunk it. Don't cause me any trouble. Jiang He's eyes were full of disbelief. You treat me like a dog. I shrugged. If you think so, I can't help it. Then, without giving him any chance to refute, I raised my legs and left. Seeing him in class every day was already enough to make me uncomfortable. Now I just wanted to disappear quickly. Who knew that just a few steps later, the thermos bucket suddenly drew an arc in mid-air, and then landed on the ground with a bang. Jinjita Jiang He's furious voice came. I don't give a damn about your lousy soup. Since the incident of delivering the soup last time, Jiang He and I haven't spoken to each other again. I no longer participate in anything related to him. I no longer pester him shamelessly to gain his favor. Instead, I focus all my attention on my studies and strive to return to Class A as soon as possible. When I get to Class A, I won't have to see him every day. 2 years later, in the college entrance examination, I won't deliberately fail like in my previous life and stay in the city where he goes to college, watching him break up with and get back together with his first love, being heartbroken. I will run far away. It would be best if we were worlds apart and never had any intersection in this life. However, the high school courses were really a bit difficult for me now, so I asked my mother to find a tutor to give me extra lessons. Among many candidates, I chose Shiji Xin, who was in the same grade as me and from Class A. He was a super top student who outperformed me in the high school entrance examination and entered number 2 middle school. Our first conversation was also very concise. I said I wanted to improve my grades as quickly as possible and return to Class A. He said leave it to him. I started to get close to Shiji. When I encountered problems I couldn't solve, I would save them up and then go to Class A to ask him during breaks. Even after school, I would do exercises with him in a fast food restaurant near the school. As time passed, new rumors emerged in number 2 middle school. It was said that I, the epic level admirer, no longer revolved around Jiang He because I had changed my target. I was even harassing the top student under the pretext of studying, which was extremely disgusting. This also aroused the dissatisfaction of the fans in Shiji's fan club. Even after school one day, they blocked me behind the teaching building. Lin Yan, stay away from Shiji. A bottom of the class student like you from Class F doesn't deserve to hang around him. The girl who spoke had a crew cut like a boy, was physically fit, muscular, and was half a head taller than me. She seemed to be a sports special, student majoring in shot, put from Class C. The 3 girls behind her, although not as tall as her, also had fierce looks. The few people quickly formed a circle and trapped me in the middle. I calmed down a bit. Shiji is the tutor I hired. I pay him, and he teaches me. I'm not taking any advantage of him. The crew cut girl sneered. What tutor? Isn't it just an excuse for you to hit on Shiji? Lin Yan, you're really shameless. You used every means to chase Jiang He before. Now that you can't catch Jiang He, you're harassing Shiji. As a girl, I'm ashamed of you. That's right. You're so disgusting. He won't like a love-struck person like you who is fickle and doesn't study hard. Shiji is a good student. If his grades decline one day, and it affects his future college entrance examination, can you be responsible? I was a bit speechless. I admitted that I was a bit love-struck before, but I had already reformed and was ready to focus on my studies and future. How come Shiji tutoring me on a few questions made them so unhappy? What's more, I was paying him. Stop talking nonsense with her. The crew cut girl had lost patience. She took a step forward, and her chest bumped into me directly. I was directly knocked back a few steps. If we don't teach you a lesson, you won't know your mistake. As soon as she finished speaking, the few girls next to her rolled up their sleeves and were about to start. What are you doing? At this time, Shiji arrived and grabbed my wrist, pulling me behind him. He was over 1.8 meters tall, with broad shoulders and a straight back, exuding an inviolable dignity. When the few girls saw that it was Shiji, their fierce looks disappeared instantly, and they even looked a bit innocent and cute. It was faster than a Sichuan opera face change. Shiji, don't be deceived by Lin Yan's appearance. She's a big green tea. She couldn't catch Jiang He and now she's pestering you. We're doing this for your own good. She's a bottom of the class student from Class F. What if she affects your studies? She just wants to date you. She's not like us who only care about you. While saying that I was a green tea, they were being so coy. At this time, the person next to me opened his mouth. Lin Yan is my big money, giving dad. After this loud voice, even I was stunned. Shiji put his arm around my shoulder and announced domineeringly. I rely on her to make a living. Whoever cuts off my source of income, I will surely ruin their future. He was still a bit of a dongkarsalngan. After saying that, he pulled me and left quickly in the astonished gazes of everyone. Finally, we walked out of the school. He held my shoulders, turned me around, and looked at me carefully from head to toe. Did you suffer any losses? I shook my head. He heaved a sigh of relief. That's good. I'll take care of those people. They won't bully you anymore. You won't stop me from teaching you because of this, will you? I dare say no one can teach better than me. Seeing that I was silent, he became a bit anxious. I'll do your duty for you. I'll also get you hot water until you graduate. From now on, you're my boss. He lowered his head, and the nice cedar smell on him wafted straight into my nose. Okay, Lin Yan. I thought he was really funny, so I nodded. In fact, Shiji really had a way of explaining problems. If I suddenly changed my tutor, I might not be used to it. His eyebrows relaxed. From now on, I'll come to your class to find you. Let them talk about me. The next day during the big break, Shiji came to my class as agreed yesterday. You know, the students in Class A had excellent grades and were arrogant. They always disdained to associate with the students in Class F. His arrival immediately caused a sensation in the whole class. Under the scrutiny of dozens of pairs of eyes, Shiji strode up to me with long legs and naturally took the pen from my hand. He took a look at the math problem that I couldn't solve no matter what and quickly wrote out the solution process on the draft paper. I gave him a thumbs up in admiration. The top student is really a top student. Zhang Xiaoyang behind me nudged Jiang He's arm and whispered, "That's Shiji, the one who has been getting close to Lin Yan recently." Jiang He snorted and turned his head to continue sleeping. But just a few seconds later, He sat up straight and kicked the leg of my bench hard with his foot, saying discontentedly, "Lingyan, you're disturbing my sleep." I frowned and looked at him. I was looking at the problem just now and didn't make any sound at all. And there are people playing around everywhere in the class. Which sound isn't louder than mine? So I ignored him and continued to study the problem with Shiji, who knew that a ballpoint pen flew over from behind and directly hit my notebook, drawing a long black line. Damn it. I just solved this problem. Jiang He's person leaned back in the chair, his hands crossed over his chest, and his 2 feet overlapping on the table, looking very intimidating. People from Class A are not welcome in our Class F. Be sensible and get out quickly. A class full of underachievers not welcoming a top student? Isn't this just looking for trouble? I took a deep breath and retorted defiantly, "Jiang He, if you're sick, go take some medicine." Jiang He's face darkened completely, and his eyes stared fixedly at me. Zhang Xiaoyang and Song Ning beside him gasped in fright. I glared at him, then turned to tidy up the books on the desk. "Shiji, let's go to the rooftop. Ignore the psycho." After saying that, I grabbed Shiji's hand and walked out. The originally noisy class fell silent all of a sudden, and all eyes were on the 2 of us. Behind us, Zhang Xiaoyang whispered, "Damn, she's really with Shiji." Thanks to Jiang He's disruption, the originally ample big break was almost over. So Shiji and I made an appointment to do exercises at the milk tea shop after school. Who knew that when school ended in the evening, and I packed my school bag, and was about to leave, Jiang He appeared at the door of the class. Considering Jiang He's performance during the day, I really didn't want to waste words. I was going to ignore him and leave. He blocked my way with his body. "I heard you want to be transferred to Class A." I was a bit impatient. "Yes, so what? I'll find you a tutor." He lowered his head and stared at me. "The best one." "No need. I have Shiji, and that's enough." Jiang He's face looked extremely unpleasant. He squeezed out a few words through his teeth. "What does he know? Anyway, he knows more than you." I pushed him aside and walked away without looking back. Under Shiji's guidance, my academic performance improved by leaps and bounds. I achieved good results in several small-scale tests. However, there was still some distance to return to Class A. One day, when I was writing a physics test paper, Song Ning rushed back from outside with a bag of snacks in her arms. "I heard that a transfer student will come to our class later." I calculated the time. It was about time for him to come. The class bell rang. Just like in the previous life, Jiang He carried him into the classroom, because he got lost on the way to report to Class F. I looked at Bai Jinjin's face. To be honest, she wasn't really good looking. Her eyes weren't big, her nose wasn't straight, her skin wasn't fair, and she wasn't very smart. She was thin and small, barely in the delicate-looking category. But such a person could make Jiang He defy his parents' orders, and even go on a hunger strike to protest, just to make her his girlfriend. I almost witnessed the entire process of their flirting, dating, breaking up, getting back together, and then breaking up again. Actually, I kind of took advantage of the situation. At that time, Jiang He was deeply hurt. He got drunk every day looking haggard. I accompanied him. When he drank, I accompanied him. When he smoked, I accompanied him. When he suffered from insomnia, I accompanied him. When he cried, I cried too. When he laughed, I laughed too. Just like that, after getting drunk again, he pinned me to the bed. When he woke up, he was dazed for a while, and then said he wanted to marry me. I laughed and then cried. I thought all deep affection would not be let down. Who knew that when I was 7 months pregnant, these 2 people went on a date behind my back? I was just a seasoning in their magnificent love story. Bai Jinjin's seat was arranged in front of mine. Jiang He carried her carefully and placed her on the seat. She looked up, her cheeks slightly red, and thanked him in a low voice. Jiang He shook his head and said, "You're welcome." My heart felt a twinge of pain. I quickly lowered my head, and tears welled up in my eyes, almost falling. In my previous life, I was arrogant and conceited. I never regarded ordinary Bai Jinjin as a rival. But in this life, I really want to escape. After school, Shiji came to me. "Boss, your favorite strawberry milkshake." It was funny to say. Although Shiji was just my tutor, Only Soa, I should be the one treating him to good food and drinks. But he always bought me all kinds of delicious food, saying it was for the sake of combining work and rest to improve learning efficiency. I shook my head. "Shiji, I want a drink." So the 2 of us went to the night market behind the school and ordered beer and skewers. Since I decided to study hard, every time I met Shiji, we were doing exercises. It was rare to come out and relax. During the meal, neither of us spoke. He gobbled up the skewers, and I gulped down the beer. After eating and drinking to our heart's content, I was so dizzy that I couldn't stand steadily. He directly squatted down to carry me. "Don't be polite. I ate to have the strength to carry you." Shiji carried me without asking. "Boss, be happier." He had been with me all the time. When I didn't speak, he also didn't say anything. It was only now that he said this. I lay on his back, and tears couldn't help but fall patter-patter. I couldn't tell anyone about my experiences in my previous life. No one could understand my pain, just like I really wanted to and should hate some people. But these people in this life clearly hadn't done anything. I had no reason. Shiji carried me all the way, and I cried all the way. When there was one intersection left before reaching home, I exhaled softly. "Shiji, I'll be willful just this once in this life. No one can make me cry again in the future. Boss." Shiji's voice was very soft. "If you want to be willful, then be willful. Anyway, I'll coax you. After all, I'm good at studying and don't need to study that hard. I have plenty of time." My heart warmed, and I smiled silently. The monthly exam was getting closer and closer. I started to study even harder, hoping to be transferred to Class A as soon as possible. One day during self-study, Bai Jinjin threw a paper ball over and whispered a request for me to pass it to Jiang He behind me. I was looking at the knowledge points marked by Shi Ji and was interrupted by this sudden action. I was a bit annoyed. I remembered that it was the same in my previous life. At that time, I was extremely hostile to all the girls who wanted to get close to Jiang He. I immediately opened the paper ball and found a chocolate candy and a little ghost face she drew. I was instantly furious and unceremoniously declared my ownership of Jiang He to her, telling her not to waste her efforts. However, after class, she was crying with red eyes in Jiang He's arms. The way Jiang He looked at me was as if he wanted to kill me. Thinking of this, I just took a faint look at the paper ball. Miss, it's self-study time now. Just because you don't want to study doesn't mean others don't want to study. Bai Jinjin blushed. It's just passing a note. Is it that serious? If you really love studying that much, would you be in Class F? She looked down on me. I'm in Class F because I want to be in Class F, not because I only deserve to be in Class F. After saying that, I directly stood up to pack my things, and then threw them on Bai Jinjin's desk. Since you want to pass notes so much, fine. I'll swap seats with you. You can pass them to your heart's content. Bai Jinjin's eyes were filled with tears, and her teeth bit into her lip, leaving an imprint. Why are you targeting me? I'm not trying to snatch Jiang He from you. I just want to thank him. Hearing her guilty tone, presumably she should have heard about my blatant pursuit of Jiang He. Passing this note was just to embarrass me. Unfortunately, I no longer cared. First, you can snatch whoever you want and thank whoever you want. It has nothing to do with me. Second, I've created convenient conditions for you. You should thank me. Then I pulled her up and sat in her seat. In fact, I had long been fed up with the feeling of being sandwiched between these two people. Just take this as an excuse to leave. Finally, I sincerely hoped that these two people would be locked together in place and stop harming others. At this moment, Jiang He, who had been lying on the desk sleeping, suddenly sat up straight and looked at the two of us swapping seats. He frowned and said, Ling Yan, what do you mean? Since he said he wanted to introduce a tutor to me last time, and I refused, we hadn't spoken for a long time. I turned my head and smiled faintly, helping others achieve their happiness. You're welcome. Jiang He's face looked unpleasant. Bai Jinjin took the opportunity to pick up the paper ball and said, I'm sorry. Did I disturb your sleep? It's all my fault. I made classmate Lin Yan unhappy just after transferring. Jiang He, I saw that you didn't have breakfast. Do you want to eat a chocolate candy? Jiang He was in a fit of anger, and impatiently knocked the paper ball out of her hand. I fucking hate sweets the most. Bai Jinjin's face instantly turned pale. I was too lazy to watch the daily love tormenting of this young couple. I tidied up the desk and continued to study. Soon class was over. I picked up my cup, and was about to go to the water room to get water. Unexpectedly, Bai Jinjin took a step ahead and picked up my cup. With that innocent and aggrieved face again. Classmate Lin Yan, I'm sorry. I said the wrong thing during self-study. Let me get water for you. Will you forgive me? No need. You don't need to get water for me. You still don't want to forgive me? Do you hate me that much? My temples throbbed. It was really difficult to talk to this person. I just want to be friends with classmate Lin Yan, she said to herself, and shook the cup in her hand. Don't worry. I'll be quick. Then, regardless of my objection, she ran out in a flash. Songning, she's too fierce. Is she okay? I shrugged, indicating that I didn't understand. After about 5 minutes, Bai Jinjin came in with hot water. Classmate Lin Yan here. I reached out to take it, but she let go in advance and deliberately turned the cup mouth towards me. The steaming hot water gushed out all at once and almost completely poured onto her hand. Bai Jinjin cried out in pain. Classmate Lin Yan, I just want to be friends with you. Why can't you forgive me? This shout instantly attracted the attention of the whole class. Can you believe that a 16-year-old girl has such scheming? I originally thought that although she was plain, looking from a poor family, and not good at studying, since she could make Jiang He deeply in love with her, she must have some unknown charm. Now it seemed this was it. Just as I was about to get angry, Jiang He suddenly rushed over. What's going on? Where are you burned? Bai Jinjin had tears on her face and held up her red-hot hand. I'm fine. Don't blame classmate Lin Yan. She definitely didn't do it on purpose. Unexpectedly, he bypassed Bai Jinjin's side and came straight to me. He held my hand and carefully examined it several times. Compared to Bai Jinjin's completely red hand, I just had a few red spots splashed on me. Are you blind? Jiang He roared at Bai Jinjin furiously. You can't even hold a cup of hot water steadily. As soon as these words were spoken, not only was Bai Jinjin stunned, but I was also stunned. I was forcefully taken to the school infirmary by Jiang He. The doctor's original words were, if you had come a little later, the wound would have already healed. Jiang He coughed softly and looked away. On the way back, we walked one in front of the other without speaking. When we were almost at the classroom, the person behind suddenly spoke. Lin Yan swapped the seat back. Why swap it back? There was a long silence. When we were almost at the door, he said, I take back what I said about hating you before. After a pause, he added, it's my birthday the day after tomorrow. All the classmates will go. Can you come? I found out that I was pregnant on Jiang He's birthday. The reason was that I, who usually slept little, suddenly became sleepy and greedy. A friend gave me a pregnancy test stick. I tried it, and sure enough, 2 lines appeared. To be sure, I also went to the hospital for an examination. The moment I confirmed the pregnancy, I almost jumped for joy. The moment I came out of the hospital, I went to the store and bought a gift box. I put the examination result inside, and tied a beautiful bow on it with a ribbon. I wholeheartedly thought that this was the best gift for Jianghe's 25-year-old birthday. However, it was a long time later that I learned from Bai Jinjin that he actually came to break up with me that day. Memories really hurt. I rubbed my temples. I have something on and can't go. The person behind me stopped. It's at that manor we used to go to often. I'll wait for you. I have something very important to tell you. I realized that, like Bai Jinjin, Jianghe also couldn't understand plain language. I didn't respond and directly entered the classroom. Time passed quickly. 2 days later, all the classmates in the class prepared birthday gifts for Jianghe. Zhang Xiaoyang prepared a basketball, and Song Ning put a bag of crispy noodles in an empty box. She snorted and said to me, Jianghe always bullied you before. Bringing him crispy noodles, I'm already being kind to him. I pursed my lips and smiled. Turning my head, I saw Bai Jinjin putting a coffee-colored scarf in a paper bag. There was no logo on it. It should be handmade by her. Unfortunately, she didn't know that Jianghe never wore anything without a brand. I attended classes as usual, took notes and did my homework. Until school was over, everyone went together to take the special car sent by Jianghe's family. However, I avoided the crowd and went alone to a deserted intersection. I took out a paper, folded airplane from my pocket, and burned it with a lighter. In this life, I cut my losses in time, stayed away from the scumbag and the scheming girl, and lived my own life well. I'm living a good life now, and the future should be good too. The only thing I feel sorry for is that unborn child. The fire quickly consumed the paper airplane. I thought that if I ever had the chance to fall in love and get married in this life, I hoped that child would come to be my child again. I'm much stronger now, and will definitely protect you well this time. I went home and curled up under the quilt to read. It started to rain heavily outside. At 12 o'clock, Jianghe called me. I directly turned off my phone. In the middle of the night, my mother came to wake me up, saying that Jianghe was in the yard. I looked at the clock on the wall. It was 3 a.m. The rain outside still hadn't stopped. I went out. He was standing in the drizzle. His hair was sticking to his face, and his eyes were also covered with a layer of moisture. The first thing he said when he saw me was, "Why didn't you come?" I held an umbrella. I didn't want to go any closer, keeping a distance of 5 or 6 steps. The umbrella was too small, and I really didn't want to share it with him. I never said I would go. Jianghe closed his eyes, took a deep breath and said, "Forget it. It doesn't matter." Opening his eyes, he went to the car to get the cake, and then brought it in front of me. "Waiting for you to blow out the candles." I didn't move. Rainwater dripped down from his hair. His lips were even frozen to a bluish-purple color. But surprisingly, I didn't feel a bit sorry for him. Our eyes met. In my indifferent eyes, he flattened the corners of his mouth side and said, "Lin Yan, can I admit defeat? Please be merciful and talk to me. Don't look at me like this either." My gaze fell on the cake in his hand. In the past, when it was his birthday, I was the busiest one. I had to choose a gift, make a cake by hand, write a greeting card, and decorate the venue. I didn't ask for anything in return, let alone Sawang to blow out the candles with him. I just hoped he would be happy. I didn't know why Jianghe in this life suddenly changed his attitude, but belated affection is cheaper than grass. I already didn't care. "Jianghe, do you understand? I don't like you anymore. Not only that, I don't even want to be friends with you." As soon as the words were out, Jianghe was completely stunned. "What?" I swapped seats with Bai Jinjin because I wanted to stay away from you. I strive to get into Class A also to stay away from you. I once liked you and caused you a lot of trouble. I know I was wrong and I've changed. Jianghe shook his head vigorously. No. Like this Lin Yan, I like you. I knew I was wrong from the moment you stopped talking to me. I wanted you to come to my birthday party just to confess to you. I prepared flowers, fireworks, and a 3,000-word confession letter. It's too late. Or maybe I'm just too vindictive. Once I've been hurt, I learned my lesson. Jianghe, that's it. Don't come to me anymore. The bond between us ends here. The rain pounded on the umbrella, making a clattering sound. I turned around and went back into the house without looking back. This time, I was especially stingy and didn't even leave him the cheap umbrella. Soon the monthly exam results came out. I ranked among the top 10 in the school and was honored on the honor roll. I also successfully returned to Class A. On the day I was packing my things, Song Ning hugged me and cried with swollen eyes. "Yin Yan, I really don't want you to go. After you go to Class A, we won't be able to see each other often." I stroked her head. "I'll often come back to play with you. You have to work hard too. If you can get into Class A, we can still be desk mates." Song Ning wailed, "You might as well kill me." Zhang Xiaoyang gave me a notebook, hoping that I would study hard and make progress every day, and be the light of Class F. Many classmates who got along well with me pulled me to say goodbye words, and gave me snacks, and some small gadgets. After saying goodbye one by one, I picked up my school bag and was about to leave. Jianghe, who had been silent all this time, came over and wanted to help me carry my things. "No need." I refused. Jianghe's outstretched hand was a bit awkward. At this time, Shiji came in from the outside. He naturally took the school bag in my hand, and, under Jianghe's gloomy gaze, took me to Class A. When we arrived at the door, he went in first, hung the school bag on the desk next to his, and then patted the chair, smiling with curved eyebrows. "Lin Yan, welcome back." I smiled, sat next to Shiji, and held out my hand to him. "Let's get to know each other again, classmate Shiji." I'm Ling Yan from Class A. In a flash, 2 years passed. During this period, Jiang He came to Class A to look for me from time to time. He fetched meals for me, brought me water, and gave me an umbrella when it rained. He was as passionate and persistent as I was back then, chasing the person he liked without asking for anything in return. But I didn't respond at all. The greatest kindness in this life was not to hate and take revenge. I put all my energy into self-improvement, so as not to have any more connections with these people, and not to repeat the tragedy of my previous life. After the college entrance examination, Class F organized the last gathering. Jiang He was drunk. He approached me with red eyes, very carefully. After hesitating for a long time, he asked me, Ling Yan, I really want to die understanding. At that time, you clearly liked me so much. Why did you suddenly stop liking me? I thought for a while and said softly, I had a dream. In the dream, you were not very nice to me. I babbled a lot. Strangely, when I told it again, there were no waves in my heart. It seemed that those once vivid and painful memories were someone else's story. He listened very carefully. At the end, his long eyelashes drooped, and his eyes were as calm as a pool of autumn water. I originally thought he would take it as a lousy joke. Who knew he looked at me seriously? Ling Yan, Jiang He in the previous life didn't love you, but Jiang He in this life loves you. I took a sip of wine. The alcohol was slightly getting to my head, but Ling Yan in this life doesn't plan to wait anymore. After the college entrance examination results came out, I applied to a university in the capital. It was the city and major I liked. I would no longer lower my standards and lose myself because of anyone or anything. On the day I went to the school to register, Jiang He came to see me off. In the crowded airport, his eyes were full of reluctance. He opened his arms and said, Ling Yan, once you leave, we may not see each other for a long time. It's not too much to give me a hug before parting, is it? His college entrance examination results were not very good, so he chose to repeat the year. This farewell indeed made it uncertain when we would meet again. I took a step back, not letting his hand touch me. Being decisive and cutting off relationships was my way of doing things in this life. He looked extremely disappointed. Okay, Ling Yan, wait for me for a year. I'll come to find you. I shook my head. I won't wait for you. Don't waste your time. At this time, the airport announcement rang out. I turned around and left without hesitation, not even sparing a polite parting word. Jiang He's voice came from behind. I won't listen to you. Ling Yan, I will definitely come to find you. I took out my earphones and stuffed them into my ears. Getting on the plane, I found my corresponding seat and sat down. At this time, a very nice cedar smell wafted over. I turned my head and saw a face so handsome that it was outrageous. Shiji was smiling at me. Boss, I'll rely on you to take care of me in the next 4 years. Well, the end.